silence this. Good evening, or yes, good evening. Good evening to you. Like always, I'm going to wait a few minutes before we start. I'm going to set my timer, and I normally try to do if I can remember. It's this. Okay, and we set it. How's everybody out there so far? We'll wait about another minute or so, and then we'll get started. I'm doing okay. Thank you. Thank you for asking. And we are going to go ahead and get started. Let me reset that. Yeah, we're going to go and get started. All right, so good day to everyone out there who's participating, who will be participating, who will be watching this session. This is Dr. O with another session. Thanks for watching and participating in advance, and make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Today's session is going to go a little different than it has been in the past, where in the past I would have some type of itinerary or a method that I want to go. Well, this is more of an open discussion, open forum, a free for all, if you will, where I'll just be asking a series of questions, and some of them are gender related. But anyway, I'll be asking a series of questions more than I just want to know your answer, how you feel about it, your perspective, and the session will go along based on your answer. So there's no flow, there's no rhyme or reason. But some of these questions are a product of conversations that I've had over the past, some as recent as a couple of weeks ago, to some that I've thought of or asked or read many years ago. So that's where I got the idea of doing this open discussion, open forum. But to lead off is the title of this particular session. Is it really cheating if it's and this is a multiple part question, this first one. But again, we'll go wherever the answers in the session takes it. But I had a conversation with someone recently, and they were talking about some conversations that they had, and it was about cheating. And is it really cheating if it's only about sex? So that whoever is messing around, the man or the woman, if it's only about sex, is that really cheating? I want to hear your thoughts and what you think. Is it really cheating if it's only about sex? What are your thoughts? One person came back immediately and said, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So is it really cheating if it's only about sex? One person said absolutely. And why absolutely? Why absolutely? And if I recall correctly, that the conversation that those individuals had, I think it was the man, he was the one messing around, and he was describing how he's good to the woman that he's with. He provides, he's always there. He provides for her wants and her needs and all of that, but he just messes around. So that was the premise of everything. So is it really cheating if it's only about sex? Sure, no problem. One person sit there if they're late. The question is it really cheating if it's only about sex? So if a person's with somebody, a man or woman, and they're messing around and they're just sleeping with someone else, however, they are providing for the person that they're with. They are there for them in every way, providing for their needs and their wants. Otherwise, a good person, a good man or a good woman, but they mess around. Is that really cheating? Or does it have to be some type of connection made with another person before it's cheating? And one person say absolutely. So I want to hear your thoughts and your opinion. One person said absolutely. Why do you say absolutely? Maybe it depends on the sex of the person. What do you mean? Maybe it depends. And why do you say, of course? One person said, absolutely. Another person said, of course. Why? It depends on the gender. So if the person messing around and the other person that they're messing around with, if they're the same gender, that will dictate if it's considered cheating or not. Do I understand you correctly? And if so, why? Why does that matter? I have a follow-up question to you, T, based on your answer. Somebody said it's cheating either way. Okay. It's cheating either way. Hmm. Define cheating, please. All right. Some type of sexual activity with another person. And that's a good question. I didn't break it down. And that's more of a subjective thing. Some would say cheating is some type of emotional connection or lusting, frequent lusting of a person, or having inappropriate conversations with a person. And while all of that is fine, at this particular moment, I'm talking about some type of sexual activity with another person. And Miss Dyson said her husband, if he just talks to another woman, that's considered cheating. Okay. Why? Why is that? Why, if he just talks to another woman? I knew somebody from, it was a long time ago, and I was in a mall with him. It was three of us. I don't, must have been when I was in the military, but he would walk, and every time an attractive woman, if we walking one way and they're walking this way, every time an attractive woman would walk by, he would just put up his his hand and say, "Nope, too many. That's a temptation." He would keep walking. I never knew anybody who did that, but he did that. Sean said false. You're saying false to Miss Dyson, saying talking to a woman is cheating. You're saying false to that because he's working his way up to cheating. So every time your husband, are you saying just your husband or just men? But I know you're specific. You're definitely talking about your husband. When he talks to a woman, he's working his way up to cheating. Why? Why do you feel that way? Why does that have to be the case? Some men think that sex is meaningless because they have no feelings attached. So to them, they aren't cheating. But if their wife or significant other has sex with someone else, is assumed there's an emotional attachment. I will tell you, and I don't know if I'm speaking for all men, but just men in general, we can dish it out, but we can't take it. I will admit that. Inappropriate conversations, definitely emotional connection or sexual interaction is cheating. Okay, so you said definitely an emotional connection or definitely sexual interaction is cheating. But the inappropriate conversations, are you saying that's cheating as well? I gather from the context of your statement, but I want to be sure because where you place the word definitely at in that conversation, in your statement. The show is for everyone, not just Sean Dyson. Right, but he had a very interesting question. He wanted me to define it, and then he said false. I think he was talking about false too. What Harris Dyson said. And T, you had mentioned an emotional attachment. If there's no emotional attachment for either person, or how does an emotional attachment play in your definition of cheating, or does it? And why do you think that if their wife or significant other has sex with someone else, men assume that they had an emotional attachment to the man. Why do you think that? You just said it just sounds like all the things your husband do. He when he talks to women, he's working his way up to messing around. I think that's a topic for a therapy session. If that's your belief, I don't know if that's a way to live. On a more serious note, if that's, and I don't know if you're joking or not, but on a more serious note, not just for you, but anybody listening, if that's your idea, the person you're with, just talking to the opposite sex is, it's a, they're preparing to take things further and to mess around. That doesn't sound like a healthy uh, type of situation, but I'm gonna take my therapy hat off and kick it to the side. But the question for those of you who are just coming on board is it really cheating if it's only about sex? And those of you coming on board, I was saying normally I have I'm structured with my sessions, and there's a path that I walk, and I'm taking you to a place for a reason. This particular session is a more of an open forum or open discussion, and I'm gonna have a variety of questions, just a list of questions that I have, and I want to know your opinions, your thoughts, really your perspectives on these questions. Some of them are gender based, but others are not. That's the current question we're at: is it really cheating if it's only about sex? Is it really cheating if it's only about sex? I've we've heard some. I've read some. Definitely, it's definitely cheating. And when I say sex, I'm talking about some type of sexual interaction. Well, others brought up some good points. They feel that if there's some type of emotional attachment. I think if inappropriate conversation for one person, just talking to a female, for one woman, if their husband talks to a female, that's considered cheating, not because of the conversation, but what it could lead to. She looks at that as cheating. Women are not known, or at least culturally allowed, to be serial. It is reserved for someone she is in love with or married to. So if a woman steps out, it is considered a grievous offense to the man, his manhood, and possibly sense of self. I said earlier, and I think I speak for not all, of course, but many of us, we can dish it out, but we can't take it for a variety of reasons. But everything you said, T, is correct. I, I agree. Not serious. What do you, to me, I'm not sure what you're saying. Because earlier you said cereal, then you said not. So I'm not really sure where you're going. Let's stay another minute or two on this particular question, then I'm going to go to the next question. But is it really cheating if it's only about sex? And I'm talking about any type of sexual interaction. But again, some people brought up inappropriate conversations. There's an emotional connection. All of that's cheating. And one person was talking about gender. I don't think you were talking about same uh, sex with the same gender. I don't think that's where you were going. But if I'm wrong, please let me know. Still cheating because just because the man doesn't care, the woman does, and she can be disruptive. What woman doesn't care? Don't care. The woman he's messing around with, or his spouse or girlfriend, don't care. What a person considers cheating could depend upon their generally. I think the message is coming through a little slow. What you said, the other woman. Okay. Okay. That's because the man doesn't care. The other woman cares. Okay. 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 I'm tracking. The question is it really cheating if it's only about sex? Sex meaning some type of sexual interaction. Yeah, what a person considers cheating could depend on their gender. It could just depend on the person. So even at a deeper level than gender, I think is more subjective. What a person considers cheating. We have seen some of that just in what some of the people's answers in here. What do I feel? Definitely, if there's any type of sexual interaction. However, the type of conversation could be considered cheating. It could be considered cheating, depending on is that a conversation you should only have with the person you're with? It's not cheating because we're not together anymore. Okay, so clearly that wouldn't matter anyway if you're not with that person anymore. But are you saying if you cheated, then or if you cheated, then that the relationship you had will no longer be, or if he messed around, that act of messing around meant or means he's done with you. So on either case, if a person messes around, then your relationship with him is over. Is that what you're saying? That's it's a funny statement. Yeah, I'm gonna go another minute, then I'm gonna ask the next question. It's not cheating because we're not together anymore. If he makes a decision to step out, he has to step off. Okay. So then, right, I see. Then it wouldn't be cheating. But let's just play along for a second. What do you consider cheating? What do you consider cheating? Campbell. It's not considered cheating because we're not together anymore. I wonder if he knows that. Does he think he's messing around on you? Does he think y'all are still in a relationship? Or is it known that if you ever mess around on me, don't worry about it. You wouldn't be cheating on me. It would already be over. All right, I am getting ready to ask the next question. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, it's funny. It's a funny statement. It's not cheating because we are not together anymore. He makes a decision to step out. He has to step off. Maybe the better question is, why does cheating matter? Then we can better answer what is cheating. What is cheating is. What the hell does that mean? Then we can better answer what is cheating is. What cheating is. Are our usual considerations for what is cheating just a result of social programming rather than individual thought? There's definitely social influence in many things that we do, to include cheating, or social programming. However, I still think it's subjective. So if you want to ask that question, why does cheating matter? We can ask that question. Why does cheating matter? Why do y'all feel cheating matter? I don't know if it's a better question. It's definitely a different question, but I'm not seeing the interrelatedness between why does cheating matter and what cheating is. So if you can clear that up for me, I would greatly appreciate it. But I'm gonna move on to the next question, and we can come back and circle back to this question, because I feel that it's not over just yet. All right, so the next question is, this is for the ladies. Ladies, is it the man's size or how he captains the boat that matter more? Had a conversation with someone about this about 4 years ago, but I'll ask that again. But let's go back to the previous question. I don't really even believe sex means that much to men except satisfying urges, but it matters to me because you are putting me at risk and disregarding things we agreed upon. I know females who fit that category, Campbell, who fit that it don't mean much to them except for satisfying urges. I went on a date once, many, many, many years ago, probably 40, 50 years ago, and I forgot where we went. I know we went out to eat. We went to the movies and we did something else. I can't recall. But then we went out separate ways and everything. So we met back up, I don't know, 2 or 3 days later. And just talking about the previous date and everything, how it went. She's like, I got to be honest with you. I didn't hear half of what you said. I don't remember half of what you were saying, because all I was thinking was, I wonder how he would feel if I ask him, does he want to go across the street to the hotel? And that was her focus. That was her focus. I wasn't even thinking anything even close to that, but that's what she was focused on. Needless to say, I gave her what she wanted, and many, many, many times. Okay. But why don't you believe that sex means that much to men? Said it matters to you because you are putting me at risk and disregarding things we agreed upon. What did you agree upon? Who is Bernie Mac? Who are you calling Bernie Mac? As a woman, if my man cheats, I would take it as I'm not good enough for him, regardless of my commitment and investment in the relationship. But if he loves and stays, did he cheat? You say if he loves and stayed, did he cheat? Well, the act of cheating, it's not connected to staying. Let me address the first part of your statement first. Sometimes, and a lot of times, it has nothing to do with you. And I'm speaking from a man cheating on a woman. It has nothing to do with you. It may not have anything to do with you. If a man you're with messes around on you, why do you think it has something to do with you? It could, right? It could have something to do with you, but it doesn't equate to or absolutely mean you're not good enough. You could be great. You could be wonderful. And I won't get into all the other reasons why he still may mess around. And then you say, but if he loves and stays, did he cheat? Then I think that's your definition of cheat. Are you defining cheating by saying if they mess around and leave? Because if he messes around is cheating if he stays or not. Maybe I'm not uh, understanding. Cheating is whatever the individual feel that going through it, what I consider cheating may not be what you consider cheating. That's true. Yes, it was many years ago. So it was a long. I don't know if it was before or after the civil rights movement or whatever. I don't know who. Nixon, maybe. Nixon. Was it Nixon or Reagan? One of them were in office. And it was the first Ghostbuster movie was out, I think, when all of that happened. But yeah, she surprised me. She surprised me by readily or just openly admitting I didn't hear half of what you said. I just kept thinking how well he can put it down, and would he be mad if I asked him, let's skip going to get something to eat and go straight to the hotel. So that was I think that may have been my only experience with something like that. I was trying to be a gentleman and do the nice thing, and this was well before Steve Harvey came out with his book, and you got to wait all these days or whatever that is, and this is what she thought of me, just like a piece of meat. I have no problem with that, but still hurt my feelings. I think people have different ideas of how relationships should go and commitment. So I explain what I expect and what I won't tolerate. Okay, that's true. And people do have different ideas of how relationships should go and in commitment. I was thinking in one of my residencies is probably was my second or third as for my PhD residency, and one of the dissertations that somebody was doing was about relationships and how we define relationships. And I think his dissertation was on relationships with three. I think it was either three or more people or just with three people, and it was an interesting abstract, and I didn't get to read all of it. I lost touch and everything, but I wanted to read and what his findings show. Not abstract. It was, I think he was working on his proposal at the time. I think. Yeah, he was working on his proposal at the time, and I read, I don't know, 4 or 5 pages of the proposal and information he had found thus far, and it was a 3-person relationship where they 3 people in the house, and they both had kids. Well, the man and the 2 women, he had kids with both of them and everything. Not the student, but some of the relationships that he had seen and what inspired him and what gave him the idea and everything. But it was quite interesting. I think cheating is anything that jeopardizes what 2 people who love each other are building together, from resources to intimacy to the family they create. Okay. I can agree with that. Let's move to the next question. Ladies, is it the man's size or how he captains the boat that matter more? I've heard all different type of answers with this I've heard all different type of answers about this question over the years. So I want to get your perspective. Post the question for you. I don't know where all the men are. I don't recall seeing there. I see one at the very beginning, but where are all the men? How he captains the boat, but you have to at least feel something. Okay, so he can't be petite size. Got it. Out cheating. See, I think some of this is coming in slow. I'm not sure, Dizzy Girl, what you're talking about. Or are you saying he shouldn't be out cheating if he's petite size or if he can't captain the boat? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, okay. You're saying the men are out cheating at this very moment, and that's why they can't. That's why they're not participating. Is that what you're saying? Okay, yeah, I get it. They could be. They very well could be. Dyson says size. Sex is never just physical. Size matters, but just having size doesn't make up for being a good lover. So you're saying it's the captain too. Some men are very challenged. What does that mean? I know it's not their fault, but they have to learn other sexual qualities or trick. Okay, now I know what you mean. Some men are very. Then you say very challenged. That'll hurt their feelings if you say very, not just challenged, but you feel bad and sorry for them, like you want to pray for them or you want to cry or something. That's not very nice. Sex is never just physical size matter, but just having size doesn't make up for being a good lover. So what's more important? I wish some of the men would stop cheating and get online and or respond. I know some are listening. Some men are very challenged. I know it's not their fault. That's a harsh statement. Some men are very challenged. I think I'm gonna have to block you. Some men are very challenged. They out cheating anyway, so they probably didn't hear or read it. I have heard stories of women not feeling anything at all. That's I don't know if I should pray or what I what do you do? Oh, you said you've heard stories, so that wasn't you. I would like to know what happened. I would like to have known what happened. A man can be well endowed and boring, at least be average and definitely not boring. A a good friend of mine, she had told me a story about that, talking about the man was extremely endowed, but he didn't really know what he was doing. And to me, I can't fathom that. Why wouldn't any man, regardless of size, know what they're doing? But that's a funny but sad situation. That can be very detrimental if the person loves sex. They still together. Who's still together? The person don't feel anything? What what do you mean? That can't be the case where she didn't feel a woman not feeling anything at all. Clearly. Okay, so I don't believe you, Campbell. I don't think something like that's possible. That if you don't feel anything at all, why would you stay? You're laughing, and that is a very serious question. If you don't feel anything at all, why would you stay? He must, what is he, high six figure number? He makes three, four, 500. Is she materialistic and he can provide up? There's something. What you're gonna need to explain. I'll have to talk to you offline or something because I don't believe anything that you're saying about that. But the question is, for those of you who are still joining us or came on late, is it the size of the man's size or how he captains the boat that matter more? We got one person saying that she's heard of stories of women not feeling anything at all, but yet they stay with the person. I'm not believing that, but sure. She loves him. Him from like the waist up, I'm guessing. Because waist down, he's not. She can't love that if she can't feel. She can't love something which she can't feel. It's like loving somebody that's not there. Love can conquer most, if not all. That is definitely a topic for another day. Love can conquer most, if not all. Love can conquer somebody cheating. Love can conquer, clearly, like Campbell was saying, not being able to feel anything at all. It matters more how he captains the boat. Okay. I got one person saying size, one person saying how he captains. And I don't recall seeing, I got two people saying how he captains the boat, but you have to feel something. Cam, I'm not talking to you right now. You're making up stories and everything. Just for that, I'm going to move on to the next question. And now I need men to be present, but for whatever reason, I'm not seeing any, except for Sean at the very beginning. Dizzy said they're out there cheating. I wish they would stop just for a little bit and come on back. So I'm gonna skip that question and I'm gonna come back to it once I see that men are back on. They stayed together, even though she doesn't feel anything. Get out of here with that. She loves him. I just read that. Letitia, you're saying she loves him. That's why she's staying. That's why she stayed, even though she can't feel anything at all being in capital letters. She could like him and feel sorry for him, but she out cheating then. Okay, good point. That was one of the things I was thinking. She is messing around. Camel, is that the case? Do you know they still together? What is she doing on the side? She got him for the love and how he makes her feel, et cetera, and she feels sorry. So she's been a servant, right? She feels sorry for him and she doesn't want to break his spirit or anything like that. Is she messing around? I'm not trying to get you to get somebody in trouble, but I'm having a very difficult time believing this made up story of yours. She could like him and feel sorry for him. But I'm going to go to the next question here. Another few seconds. Where are the men at? Man can claim that he loves you and still cheat, or maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe he really doesn't love you. I was telling somebody that earlier in the session, it may not have anything to do with you. Cheating doesn't equate to non-love or I no longer love or I no longer like. Well, I know she is a cheater, but I'm not sure if she is now. Or did you mean to say I know she was a cheater? Does that make it okay? If she can't feel anything, like Dizzy says, she likes him and feels sorry, is cheating justified? Another question, is cheating for her, but beyond that, is cheating ever justified? Yes, cheating is justified. I think it may be coming in slower, but you're saying yes. But I'm going to post the next question. I wish men were around. But I will post the next question. They have a family and like each other since they were kids. Who's the dad? Who's the dad? Campbell, who's the dad? Who is the father in this made up story of yours? Is it the one that she can't feel anything? You and I. Okay. That's good. Please don't. Isn't that what she said? I will not feel anything. I have reliable sources. All right, sure. All right, wait, I'll play along. All right, cool, good. Sounds real credible. Sounds real credible. I will not. All right. If I fell in love with someone prior to having sex with him and then found out that the sex was trash, I would embark on tours. Is that even a possibility these days? You can fall in love with someone prior to having sex. If I fell in love with someone prior to having sex with him and then found out the sex was trash, I would embark upon toys. Doesn't even make any sense. I have reliable sources. All right, so we can leave that alone. All right, so the next question. I don't know where all the men are, so I'm gonna skip a question, but I want to know: are men too unrealistic in what they want in a woman? All right, Sean, you're there. That's one. I need more. But Mike, so I'm still gonna skip that question. I'm gonna circle back to it. But are men unrealistic in what they want in a woman? Sean, did you hear that nonsense that Camo was talking about? It's a good story, and she had everything down and everything. I don't know if she wrote it down or not, but she's spitting off like it's true. You did hear it. Okay, so do you think that girl, the woman who can't feel anything, she's messing around still in this truth that Campbell said? I think some really don't have a clue what they want besides surface stuff. Okay, so you do think she's messing around. All right. Yeah, me too. Next question. Are men too unrealistic in what they want in a woman? I think some really don't care or really don't have a clue what they want besides surface stuff. Okay. Why do you think that? Why do you think that? Why do you all think that? Are men too unrealistic in what they want in a woman? I think some really don't have a clue what they want. I'm not. So you are realistic, Sean. I want women to be themselves. It's just themselves have to be compatible to me. I'm that same way. And I'm all about what's natural, what I have to like or love the natural person. I don't need the interview type scenario. I don't need you to be putting on your best behavior or anything like that. It needs to be, I need to see if I'm compatible, using your word, compatible. And who I'm saying and what I'm saying has to be real. Some of the girls they sleep with add no value to their lives, only drama and a good time. Hmm. But how does that tell you or show you that they have unrealistic desires in a woman? So what, they sleep with people sleep with women who add no value to their lives. I'm talking more about, like, I know men who won't date women who society wouldn't call them a 9 or a 10, or a certain skin tone or certain build, a certain shape, certain academic background, and those type of, that's what I'm talking about. Because they may not add any value to their lives either. think it's depending on subjective to the man, but I'm talking about unrealistic in that way. They want a woman who does this. She cooks, she cleans, she takes care of kids, she doesn't talk back. She's built a certain way. She can do this, she can do that. That's what I'm talking about. So are men too unrealistic in what they want in a woman? Women have been repressed on so many levels. I don't think men or women know the true nature of women, what they really want, or are capable of for anyone to be realistic of what to expect of them. Sean seems to be capable. He said he knows what he wants. I'm capable. I know exactly what I want. But you do bring up a good point in that the true nature of a woman, for me, that's been difficult to ascertain at times because now more than ever, it seems everybody's trying to be like everybody else. And what sells and what gets the most likes and what does this and what does that, where you don't, it's hard for me to know who the true person is. So I had a long time ago, I think I must have been coming back from a Jackson 5 concert or something. And so I'm with this girl, right? And I went to grab her hair, so I'm behind her. And when I grabbed it, the hair came out and I fell off the bed. Wasn't a good situation, but the true nature of a woman, I'm thinking long, pretty hair. And it just wasn't that. And she didn't really know what she wanted, right? Because when I saw her later, she had short hair. But that time that I met her hair was long and everything, and she was trying to be like somebody else. So who is she? Does she know what she wants and everything? I found out some other stuff about her and everything, and just she's trying to be like somebody else. I like society perception of beauty, but fall in love with an individual's character. Okay, but what's society? You saying society in general, or is this more of a cultural thing? And I agree. For me, anyway, it's just the character. I'm more of a sapiosexual, where I'm attracted to intellect almost as equally as a person's physical appearance. I think of a man, especially with women and the new liberties they have and making marriage obsolete as necessary for women. Say you go and give them liberties, and this is what happens. I think if a man has those traditional ideas, he better be providing a certain lifestyle. You mean cook and clean and do all of these things? But even if we're providing that certain lifestyle, is that still unrealistic? Is that unrealistic in today's modern culture that we're in? Correction, marriage is, oh my God, necessary for women. Okay. Why would you jeopardize what you have at home if you really love that person and you're not unhappy at home? Because sometimes it's not about being unhappy. Sometimes it's opportunity. Marriage is no longer a necessity for women. Okay. Current question is, are men too unrealistic in what they want in a woman? Not with the rise of the independent women. Okay. Topic for a different day. topic for a different day. Being honest with your spouse works much better. They will either accept you or not. That is true. Very true. So honesty, we talked about lies and who's the bigger liar, I think, in a different way. Got white lies and everything, but and at times the white lies can be something that saves a relationship, or at least not create to destroying one. But from a honest standpoint, I found that it's easier to, in the long run, be honest than to try to lie. Because the lie you have to remember. The truth you just have to be able to recall it. They will either accept you or not. To my surprise, again, a long time ago, probably, I think it dated pre-Bill Clinton presidency. And I was with a girl and I tried to be honest, or I ended up being honest, and because she kept asking me, "Hey, you want to do this? You ever want to do this? Let me know." I'm like, "No, that's crazy. I'm not going to do that," and everything. And I ended up wanting to do something with someone else, and she was game for that. And I could have missed out if I would have kept lying. So she accepted it. Marriage is a necessity to me. It's not only when you get nothing. Campbell, that doesn't make sense to me. Marriage is a necessity to you. When you say it's not, then you say only when you get nothing. I'm gonna move to the next question. Y'all go ahead and keep typing, and I'll circle back to that. So I had a woman I was dating some years ago, and I think we were at dinner. I don't know whose house we were at, but we went out to dinner, and I can't recall whose house. But the girl I was with, she asked me what I thought of her best friend, or if I thought her best friend was hot at the dinner gathering. She looked really nice and everything. She's like, "Yeah, she's smoking hot. What do you think?" And she was wearing this outfit that really accentuated all of her assets, extremely well. By the way, extremely well. Now, in my eyes, that was a trick question, like a trap question. Now, I was able to back out of it gracefully, of course, and but it made me think, why do people intentionally ask their mate trap questions? So why is that? Let me type that in. I felt that was a trap question. Why did she ask me that? A person thinks like that if you will not get any benefits from marriage. Okay, you're talking about the previous question. I'm tracking. The current question is, why do people intentionally ask their mate trap questions? And again, I was with this girl, and she wanted to know if I thought her sister was hot. Smoking hot, I think was the word she used. And the outfit she was wearing showed all her curves and everything. And yeah, she was smoking hot. For me, it was a trap question. And I backed out of it. I think I said, yeah, she finally looks cute and like a woman for a change, or something like that. Something I said out. So I just backed out of it. Like, you're not gonna get me to say something like that. But you said insecurity. If you're insecure, why ask the question? Right? Why ask the question? If you're insecure, why ask the question? You're insecure. Why ask the question? Some type of weird validation. Okay. What are they trying to validate? That we prefer you as opposed to, in my example, the hot looking sister? What are we trying to validate? Hmm. Okay. Okay. I can see her being insecure, but it's not like she was at that particular moment, her sister, what she had on looked different. I would say look, yeah, her sister at the moment in that particular point in time looked better with what she was wearing. Hello, I'm good, ma'am. How are you? So at that particular time, she looked better, but I didn't think she had anything to be insecure over. And I know that's just my perspective on things. And we can't always know why a person feels what they feel and why they may be feeling down or insecure about themselves. But I mean, you know, they both could have got it, if they were down for that. But it was a trap question, and I didn't really care for that question after I backed out of it and everything. But the question is, why do people intentionally ask their mate trap questions? We got one person saying because of insecurity or some type of weird validation. And again, that was a long, long time ago. A lot of women are in a constant competition with other men, like men are a rare specimen. Good men are a rare specimen. You need to write that down. Don't you ever forget that. But a lot of women are in a constant competition with other men. Is that a homosexuality thing? Why would women be in constant competition with other men? You're making up things again, Campbell. First, you made up this elaborate story of people who the women don't feel anything at all, yet they stay with them and they have a family. To now, okay, correction. All right, good. Say all your lying has to stop. Okay, so women are in constant competition with other women, like men are a rare specimen. Sounds like that's a dig at men. Do you have another correction coming? But the question, the current question is, why do people intentionally ask their mate trap questions? I think the audacity of a person being honest in a relationship or just period is intriguing to some women because they are used to the contrary. I think the audacity of a person being honest in a relationship or just period is intriguing. So you think then, Dyson, that they ask questions just to see if you're going to be honest? The type of men women want are rare. Okay, and that's going to take me back to the question I kept saying that I'm going to come back to because I want more men in. I'm going to ask that next based on your response, T. I have asked that and it wasn't a trap question. Okay. All right, so I'm talking about trap questions. Just those, like again, the situation I was in, I was with one and we went to a dinner and the girl I was with said, "Hey, my sister's smoking hot. What do you think?" I felt that was a trap question. It's billions of men out here. You're just saying. Yeah, but you can't feel all men. Isn't that right, Campbell? But it wasn't in reference to my sister. Oh, okay. So, Letitia, you're saying you've asked the question of what do you think about like my friend if it's not your sister? but it wasn't a trap question. Why would you care what if what you're saying, if I understand you correctly, why would you care what your man thinks of another woman? Why does that matter? Dyson said, we like to see the simple looks on her face when asked the question. What if they're like me and you can't tell? Because I'll have this look if I think something's extremely funny or there's something extremely disheartening. What if you can't tell? But nonetheless, why would you do that to a person? You just want to see the look on their face. That's not very nice to do. I believe they know intuitively. They know the answer to the questions they ask. Yes, so good point, Sean, where they're asked the question, they know the answer, just want to see what you're going to say. I don't like those questions. And for me, I play along in it. If I think you know the answer, I'm going to give you a wrong answer. I believe they know, but it wasn't a reference. I'm still waiting on you, right, to answer that. It's billions of men out here. I'm just saying. So why did your girl pick the guy that she can't build anything with? Oh, it's a question. I'm sorry. That's okay. The current question is, why do people intentionally ask their mate trap questions? The example I gave was I was at dinner, someone I was seeing, and she asked me, she made the comment that her sister looked smoking hot. And she was right. It insinuated her assets extremely well, extremely well. And I felt it was a trap question, so I backed out of it. I think I said something to the effect of, "Oh yeah, she finally looks cute for a change," or something like that. But why do people ask trap questions? She needed a rebound. Okay, all right, I'm gonna leave it alone. All right, she needed a rebound. Hmm. The question that I was holding off until there were some men on here while y'all are still typing. Are women too picky in what they want in a man? Are women too picky in what they want in a man? Are women too picky in what they want in a man? I don't think it's always a trap question because I have asked that. Right, correct. I get it, Letitia, but why? Why do you ask your man? Why would you ask somebody you're with what they think of a friend of yours? Hunter said, the person who asks you that doesn't know you very well. She damn sure didn't. She couldn't have asked me. You pay attention to who and what's in front of you. People deflect when they feel nervous, possibly. You may intimidate in some way. I can see that. I can see a person not knowing someone. And if you don't know the person you're with that well, you would ask them that question. But intimidation, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about the intimidation part. You may intimidate in some way, but now I'm gonna put me in this for a moment. Hunter, what you were saying. I don't think she knew me that well, but because it only been, I don't know, 2 or 3 months at that particular time, I think. And I see your point of people deflect when they feel nervous. So, like if I was nervous, I could have been stuttering or deflecting, trying to change the subject and all of that and everything. That's definitely not me. So if I'm putting myself in that situation, I still don't get the intimidation part. You may intimidate in some way. Assumption of someone wanting to jump their goals unless he's a serial cheater. All right. So the current question: are women too picky in what they want in a man? Sean said yes. They live in a fairy tale. Why, women? Why do y'all live in this? Why do y'all live in a fairy tale? Campbell said there's so many beautiful people in the world. Why can't somebody find someone attractive without the assumption of someone wanting to jump their bones, unless he is a serial cheater? So you're saying this is just a one-sided thing. Why can't a woman find a man without the man thinking they want to jump their bones? We talked about that in the previous section where women, unfortunately, if you're too nice to a man, that they're going to think certain things. For a minute, a while ago, I mean, if a woman say hi to me the wrong way, I'm thinking, does she want it? And that's just where our mind goes at times. So why can't you find somebody like that? Maybe you can, but I think that's going to be more on the rare side. All those princess books that so Sean's saying, women, you all have this idea of what a man is, and you get these ideas out of these books that are not true. When I asked the question, I knew him very well. All right, teacher, I think it's coming in slow, but you're talking about the previous question. Well, why women? Why are you? Question is, are women too picky in what they want in a man? All those princess books. Are women too picky in what they want in a man? Similar question to the question I asked earlier, as far as about women and being too unrealistic, or are men too unrealistic in what we want in a woman? Are women too picky in what they want in a man? Do y'all think women are? Do you think women are too picky? I think Black culture distorted what a man is for them as well. Explain, Dyson. Black culture, how Black culture influence, or say distorted what a man is for them as well. What I was trying to say was, why does it matter if he finds her cute, fat, etc.? Why does that mean? What does that mean for you, really? Because we all have desires, right? We all have things we like and things that we don't. We all have an idea of who we want to be with, either from a permanent or serious level to a just someone we know level. Why does it matter if he finds her cute? I think that's for both sides. Why does it matter if she finds him handsome? Why does that matter? Because who wants to? I mean, no disrespect, but who wants to be with an ugly person? And who wants to be? What man wants to be with a woman who's shaped like a box? I think we are attracted to who we want. Right. I have approached men and was told I was full figure and they wanted a single digit dress size woman. That's kind of harsh. So they said what they want a size four and you're, let's say you're a size 10, 12, whatever you are, double digit, and they wanted somebody a four. That's kind of harsh. I'm okay. Yeah, you should be careful driving in Texas. But the current question is, are women too picky in what they want in a man? Are they too picky? Somebody said yes. Yes, they are. Somebody said they think the black culture has distorted what a man is for them as well. If you can't be honest with yourself, we can get into psychological discussions as to why a person is not honest with themselves, why when they look in the mirror, they they imagine somebody else and everything. And I don't want to go there in this particular session, but for many of us, we can't be truly honest with ourselves. If we were, and then we wouldn't try to act like some people. We wouldn't try to behave like them or dress like them or look like them from wearing what they wear and all of that. So even on a deep level, I think people just in general, they would reject that comment and say, I am being honest with myself. This is who I am. No, you should celebrate who's celebrating you. Okay. I don't think so, but if they are almost impossible standards, then okay, so you're saying you don't think women are too picky in what they want in a man, but if they impossible standards. What do women want in a man? How about that? What do you women want in a man? Enjoy searching. who can you be honest with? Gotta admit what you want, right? We all have to compromise in some way or another. Why did we have to compromise? What do we have to compromise? What are we compromising? What we like in a person? Why should we have to compromise what we like? Earlier, I said I'm a sapiosexual in that I'm attracted to intellect, in that it will cover up some other shortcomings for me. Not a lot, but and I wouldn't even necessarily say every intellectual person I meet, I'm sexually attracted to. I'm just attracted to an intelligent mind. I mean, I can be friends, best friends, I can be lovers, but it's not just lovers. But why would I compromise something that I want? Black women aren't picky, by the way. T, what the hell are you talking about? Yes, they are. No, maybe no more or no less than other women, but why do you say they aren't picky? No, we want someone we can trust. All right, Dyson, I hear you. You're saying women aren't too picky in what they want in a man. You're saying trust. So you don't want the whole tall, dark, and handsome. You don't want some of these fairy tale that Sean said. There isn't a woman on this earth that doesn't need that security and protected. She may have settled. She may have never gotten a taste of it. She may not realize it, but that gland is real. Okay. There isn't anyone on the planet, which you're saying that, okay, it's security gland protected. Okay. Maybe the extra or the extremely independent woman, maybe not. Men compromise all the time. Right, we do compromise all the time. But not because we feel we have to. We may do so to get what we want, but why? Like, I shouldn't have to compromise. Not big things or values, okay, but little things like they leave stuff all over the place or they squeeze the toothpaste from the top. Oh, that's uncalled for. That's called being lazy. Who would squeeze toothpaste from the top? Because then you got, okay, all right, doesn't make sense to me. Then it looks all deformed. Okay, somewhat gangster type street dudes. Then cry when he be on the same when he be on some street stuff, sex, money, and drugs. Stop reading urban novels. Extremely great point, Sean. Now I'm used to that with younger women and those who haven't matured to a degree of understanding that those dudes aren't can't be long lasting, and that where's the 401k? Where is when these young dudes replace you used to be young and now you're old, but the young dudes are replacing you. Security. Somebody mentioned security earlier. Where is the security in the gangster type dudes? So I'm used to the street dudes being a young woman thing, not older woman, a more mature woman thing. But you're absolutely right. You want this, but then you cry foul when he's treating you a certain way. I am so sick. What did you say? I'm so sick of black men saying black women want street dudes. We do not. Some do. So he is speaking from his experience. Some do. T. Some of them do. I've dated some. I've never been that person. I've never been in the streets or anything like that. Even growing up, as a youth, as a teenager, and everything, I always felt different in my family. I felt extremely different in my family, uh, and so that piece and then moving around a lot really formed who I am today. That's why I'm quiet and more reserved. But as I grew and blossomed and got out of the house, and that stuck with me. I just knew what I wouldn't. So all the things that I was around, I knew I didn't want to be any of those things. That's why I left at 17 years old, shortly after graduating. And however, I've dated women, say dated, maybe went on a date or two, but I wasn't their type because I wasn't that street dude. And I think I've told, if not every last one of them, most of them, I'm the guy you want later in life, but I'm not going to be there for you later in life. And but my experience is, I guess, is similar to what Sean is saying. That's what they want. Why do women think it's a man's job to take care of them and they shouldn't work? That would get you cheated on. Especially the independent woman, right? Right. That's what you're saying, Sean. Why do women think it's a man's job to take care of them? Yeah, so on one hand, and I know some like this, on one hand, you want us to take care of you, which I'm not saying it's a problem or not, but you want us to take care of you, but you don't want to work, which if that's good, if y'all have that type of relationship, but you shouldn't think it's the man's job. If he ends up fulfilling that role, you shouldn't think it's a man's job because that may get you cheated on, as Sean said. Isn't part of the reason an extremely independent woman is the way she is because she needs and desires security? And if she can't get it elsewhere, she'd rather get it herself. It could be. It doesn't mean that's the reason why, but it could be that she goes and get it herself because she doesn't want to rely on someone else. She wants her own security, and nothing wrong with that at all. The idea of having to want and need for anything is a desire. Majority of women I've met wish they could have the life they want and have nothing but that, or have nothing but that. Having to want and need. It seems that as black women can't find a complete man. Either he can provide, but he can't protect. He's smart, but he's boring. He has vision, but no resources. He has resources, but a sellout. Okay. Mm. Is that too unrealistic? Is that too picky? T, is that too picky? Is that too picky? Because that's a lot of stuff that you said. Is that being too picky? You want all of this, you want all of this stuff, but if we flip it, you say the woman, you say, I'm sorry, men are too unrealistic in what they want in a woman. That's a lot of what you said, yes. T, you say yes, I will get it myself. I know it. I can tell just by the way you're writing. My next question is going to be about independence. Somebody talked about independence. Yeah, someone talked about independence. Uh, Men, what is considered too independent of a woman for you? What is considered too independent of a woman for you? We talk about how in today's society, women are probably more independent than any point in history. And not just from a they have their own jobs standpoint, but they're making their own money. And then we talk about different cultures or countries and how women are just wealthier than men. What is considered too independent of a woman for you? One person said no such thing. I think you're talking about my current question. Again, men don't get why they provide. It is a division of labor to make a life work. Again, men don't appreciate what a woman can bring to the table. All right, so you're talking about the previous one. I think it's just coming in slow for me. It's not that we don't get why we provide. Why do you think we should provide? And going to Sean's question, why do women think that men should provide, but you don't have to work? So we can, I don't know if anyone's saying men don't get we why they provide. Like we understand why we provide. It's a division of labor. And I think that's part of it. He's saying that the labor is only on one side. The woman's saying she thinks that the man needs to provide and she doesn't have to work. So what's on the other side of the equation? Are you saying taking care of the kids? What if there aren't any kids or the kids are older and kind of take care of themselves or they're grown and out of the house? A woman that feels she needs to let me know that all the time when I can clearly see what it is they don't necessarily need my help with. Yeah, it's almost like they're throwing it in your face, right? Like, hey, I don't need you. Men want to feel needed, ladies. We know if you don't need, we know regardless if we're making twice what you're making, three times what you're making, whatever, we know if you can sustain yourself. We know you don't need anything from us or anything like that. We already know that. Telling us, while we know it, we don't necessarily like to hear it. It's I think that's going to what he's saying. It doesn't help. Not at all. Our community as Black people has been broken for so long. We forgot why and how a nuclear family can work. Managing a home is not for a lazy person, right? So managing a home, but and you're talking about I think you're talking about the previous question. All right, so I don't know, a typical home of you have one working person, let's say it's the man, you have two kids. The kids have football or basketball, soccer practice, all of that, cook, clean, et cetera, et cetera. The woman's doing all those things. So that's one side of the equation. The man is working, providing the financial means primarily for it. So can the man just, once he's done with working, just go and sit down, come home and go to bed, sit down or watch the game or whatever? Can he do that? Because if I'm providing, but I'm also coming home and helping cook, I'm playing with the kids, I'm taking them, you may take them to practice or whatever, but I'm meeting y'all there and I'm picking them up and all that stuff. So I'm doing some of what you're doing and all of what I'm doing. You're doing all of what you're doing and none of what I'm doing. Too independent is when you don't realize everyone needs help with something at some point. I agree. I agree. I don't need anyone. That thought that I had somebody tell me that. In all my examples, 30, 40 years ago when all this stuff happened. Long, long time ago. But someone told me that I don't need you. And when she came home the next day, all my stuff was gone. I had moved out. I went and stayed in the hotel for a few days, found my place, and that was that. You don't need me? All right. All right. Changed my number and everything. Don't even know what ended up happening. I see some black men saying the black community, we have a matriarch. That's not true. We have a failed women are independent because we no longer trust the men. I think, T, you got a good point. I think there's some independence in women in being extremely independent, especially because they don't trust men. And I see that, but I think that's just where society has ultimately was going to lead. If we go back to Second World War, we want to take it that far back when women are somebody's here or in this country and having to man and work the factories and all that stuff, men at war, and just women's rights and all of that, and things just started progressing. This is the outcome of all of that progression. This is the outcome of that. That's the thing. Women work and take care of the house. Most men don't do anything in the home, whether they work or not. All right, so that's an unfair thing. If both are working, but I think he was talking about earlier, and I think some of it could be because it's coming in slow, but I think what he was talking about earlier is he was saying that the women think the man has to provide, but the women don't think they have to work. But this statement, most men don't do anything in the home, whether they work or not. Women work and take care of the house. Yes, that is true. I'm on the woman's side in this particular case, that if both are working, it doesn't matter who has the higher paying job. If both are working, so somebody used village earlier, they both come home and they both should be contributing. I've heard too many times men of women saying, yeah, I work too, but I'm the one primarily taking care of the kids, doing those things in cooking and all that, because it's considered a woman's role. And that's a topic for another discussion. But the woman's role, like the man takes out the trash, cut the grass, stuff on the outside, and the woman does the stuff on the inside. To each their own, I say to that. If I'm at home cooking, cleaning, taking the kids back and forth to extracurricular activity as well as school, that's a job in itself. Yes, ma'am. So that is a job, but don't think that the man has to provide just because you are doing that job. And then, all right, so I'm providing, so we're both working. At some point though, Letitia, your job is going to stop or slow down because the kids are going to be able to take themselves back and forth. They may not need your help, especially in today's world. Once they reach a certain grade, you may not be able to help them with their homework. But at some point, you're not going to really be cooking and doing as much. Then what? So for a while, it's going to be equal, but then the man will keep working, still providing, you're going to be doing less and less. I'm not asking to be trusted. I'm asking for financial independence for the both of us. Okay. I do not want to touch that. T, is a woman independent just because she says so, or is it really they don't need that specific person they are dealing with? We depend on the man for a job or the bank for the check or sister. Okay. Men, that's a great question. Look, if I'm reading the answer. Men complain about black women not being feminine. At least not the way men want it. We can't afford to. We have things to do and cater to a man who argues with us about providing. So you want me to leave my career to do double the work? Men complain about black women not being feminine, at least not the way men want it. We can't afford to. We have things to do and catering to a man. So you're saying why does, and I could be misunderstanding what you're saying, but why does being feminine equal catering to a man? Regardless if we're arguing or not, you're saying you can't be feminine because you have stuff to do. I have stuff to do. I can still be masculine. I had a very sexy, extremely intelligent person. I kept him satisfied, and I would love to have that chance again. He stands for everything I would appreciate in a man. So I would love to have the opportunity to fulfill each other's plate because we should help each other all day and treat the other as priority. Shaw said, was it at me, Corey? That's so funny. Sean, you would have known if you encountered me. That is funny. I think she would have put it on you there, Sean. From when I'm reading, there's no way you would have forgot her. That is so funny. We all should be independent to some degree. If we are grown in a relationship, there should be some independence. Yes, I agree. Independence. There is some interdependence, right? But there's also independence. The problem is how much, what's considered too much. And then one person brought up the whole stop saying, women, stop saying, I don't need you, or telling me, finding ways to show me you don't, I'm not needed. Because I will tell you, men want to feel needed. Because the minute we don't feel needed, we're going to go find someone. Oh, not we're going to go. We're likely, or at least possibly, we're going to go and find someone who does need us. We'll still keep you, but we want to feel needed. So yeah. Sisters, why are you always saying most men when you don't know most men? I think, let me keep reading. I personally don't know many men, and I know a whole lot who don't help outside of working and finances. I think that's just a generic, almost in a generic sense that they're using it. Kind of like when I talk, I may say men and women, and I'll qualify at times. I want to always qualify when I say it, qualify my words, but I can't be talking about all men or all women, but I think I'm speaking in generalities, and I think that's what they are. Some men, you're wanting them to be technical and say some men instead of most men, or just men. Not if I stay pregnant. Okay, so yes, right, teacher, you're saying, I think you're responding to my comment when I'm saying if we're both here at some point because the kids are going to get older and they are going to rely on you. They're going to be more self-reliant and you're not going to have to run them around and doing all this stuff. If you stay pregnant, no one's trying to have a football team. So at some point, you're no longer going to be pregnant. You're going to have, at some point, you're going to have your last child, right? And that it's not going to be equal. So we're both, you said it, doing everything is a job in itself, taking care of the kids, cooking, cleaning, etc. But as they rely on you less, your job is going to require less of you. Sounds like to me it all goes back to lack of communication or good communication. I agree. All right, Sean's laughing at Hunter. I have rarely seen a man and a woman get together, have children, and have the issue of one person doing everything at home. In most of these cases, the woman came into the relationship with the family, and when a guy enters, maybe anything does in the home, he may feel like he doesn't have the right to join in. sometimes you might have to ask him to help. So you're talking more of a blended family, maybe? A man steps into a blended family situation, he doesn't really know how to behave and how to act. If he's a man, regardless of blended situation or not, if he comes in, especially if he marries into that, but if it's a serious thing, I don't need her permission to act or do anything. I'm gonna do it. Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying. I find that when men say, we've been on this topic, I have a few more questions that are a little bit different, but we've been on this for a minute. I find that when men say women are feminine, they aren't just talking about looks, they are talking about attitude. Our attitude is different because we're thinking about catering to a man. Don't ask me not to generalize men, you women. Okay, all right. All right, so I find that when men say women are feminine, they aren't just talking about looks, they are talking about attitude. What's a feminine attitude? Like submission, and what's a feminine attitude? Our attitude is different because we are thinking about catering to men or catering to a man. Find out what men say. Men is T correct? So men, when you're talking about you want a woman to be feminine, are you talking about more than just looks? Or are you talking about attitude? Correction. Don't ask me not to generalize men where women are being generalized. Okay. All right. Yes, blended families. Okay, so I did understand you correctly. If it's a blended family, man, in type situation, and you come in as the man, and the woman expects the man to provide. If I'm expected to provide, me providing comes with stipulations, unspoken stipulations, that I am going to be leading the situation. I don't need permission to come in and do certain things. But I think it is a communication thing. Someone brought that up, and how they communicate that with one another. Most of these relationships aren't marital. Our sisters being men into their children's lives, or bringing, I think you meant, men into their children's lives before marriage, and understandably so. Tangibles that men look for granted, such as. All right, so I'm gonna go to the next question. If your partner won't do something sexual in the bedroom that you want to try, how do you handle that? You want to try and do, how do you handle that? Well, we're still on that same question. Some of the responses are coming in slow. So I'm gonna go back. Me and my wife watch a show called Married at First Sight. You'd be surprised how people perceive their role in the household. So yes, even as a man who is guiding a new relationship, you do need to ask what you can help with, what she needs help with. I can see that. You're coming in, you're uncertain. You don't want to overstep bounds and all of that. So when I was speaking earlier, I think that I'm definitely speaking for me and just for some people that I know. We step into a blended family, it's like the family isn't blended, because if my role is the man, and now we're talking about roles, I'm coming in and I'm being asked to provide. I'm not asking but so many things. I'm going to treat it like it's not a blended family to a degree. But I think it's the man's nature or their character. I'm not going to ask you what I need help with. I'm just going to help you. But that's just me. But since men want to argue with us, things change. Okay. You said being sweet, excited about life, proud about men, wanting children, being comfortable and homemaking. We don't have time for that. We have to work. We need you to provide, so we have time for that. But since men want to argue with us, things change. Well, T, you have a great point. If men are arguing, you can't argue, but then be upset that they don't have time because you're wasting time arguing. People can't do anything as a whole culture without you fixing yourself at home first. You can't even begin to know what that looks like or work it takes. You only have an idea. Okay. I agree. Spot on. I agree. Be willing to satisfy your significant other to full capacity. What you don't do, someone else will. Amen. Maybe I shouldn't say amen because that's advocating cheating. So let me take that back. But I agree. I agree. Absolutely, Teresa. We are so far removed from a culture we can't even speak on that. But culture aside, isn't it still subjective? Isn't it just still you and what you believe? I believe everyone here is on that path, so it's not just an idea. Here's my next question. And some of you have already answered it, but I'm gonna type it anyway. Your partner will not do something sexual in the bedroom that you want to do or try. How do you handle that? How do you handle that? How do you all handle it? The person you're with, you want to try something and they don't. How do y'all handle that? How do y'all handle that? The social contract is being renegotiated, so all this chaos is actually good. People are finally trying to be honest with each other. Okay. Okay. Learn from Nike. Just do it. As long as I don't have to do anything against my manhood or character, I'm down. Okay. That can go so many ways. Okay. Just do it. Okay. So, but what if they don't want to do it? That's my point. So you're saying you're going to do it anyway. Okay. Well, what if they're against it? So you try and they're stopping you. Do it anyway. That's funny. Do it with someone else. Not you, Dyson. We already know you even talk to a woman. You can't even say hello. How you can't even do that. My bad. It says if they don't want to do it. Yes, right. So if they don't want to do something, how do you handle that? You said that happens. All right. So how do you handle that? How do you handle that? Express how it would turn you on more, or that it will fulfill your connection with them. More alcohol, maybe. Turn them on with foreplay. All are great points. I don't know about the alcohol. I had a bad experience with alcohol once. I don't drink. I probably count on, I don't know, no more than both my hands the number of times I've drank anything, to include wine, over my 60 plus years on the earth. But I had a bad experience with that once. No, I don't think we're on the way to greatness, but we have to have these conversations first. Solutions don't just have to be an idea. That's a powerful statement, deep statement. Hopefully, everybody get that. Solutions don't just have to be an idea. Nothing gets done with just the idea, right? But get creative. There are many ideas. All right. So, regardless of how creative you get, if they don't want to do it, and I'm talking past all of the please and let's try and different angles you present the idea to them. How do you handle if you want to do something they don't? All right, so this is a tough one to explain through text. I'm trying to get the podcast set up. Just, just out of the, made me think of that based on what you said. This is a tough one to explain through text. Well, when you have a deep connection sexually, you don't need alcohol. I agree. Now, it wasn't that. It wasn't my bad experience. Alcohol, from what I know of it, from just hearing it directly from people and what I know about it psychologically and what it does to a person. The girl thought I was boring because she wanted to do something. And I'm thinking if I do that, I'm pretty sure now I'm going to be gay if I do that. So I don't want to do that. Nothing wrong with being gay. It's just not for me. And there's something else. So that was one thing. I'm like, nope, absolutely not. But there was something else. And it wasn't even sexually related. She just wanted to do something. And her being drunk like that, I'm like, no, it was sexually related. And I'm like, no, because that's, I gotta be taking advantage of you. And the mood I'm in, I want you to remember this because I was feeling full of adrenaline. So you need to remember this. So I'm gonna have to save this for you later. But yeah, she called me boring. She had drink. Oh, she wanted me to drink with her and everything. And like, no, I need to be in complete control when I'm captain. I'm the captain of this boat. All right. So if she tells you you what she doesn't do and you still pursue the relationship, that's on you. You already knew what you were getting into. So I agree with that to a point, teacher, where, but we all change as people over time. We talked about social distortion earlier, social influence, and just growing, maturing as a person. So yes, while I can tell you, hey, I am never going to like being around someone who smokes. I'm just not going to do it. So in some cases, some things may not change, but other things I can say, hey, I will never buy a certain type of car, or I'll never listen to a certain type of music. Things grow on us. So even though you told me what you won't do, or you told she or he told you what you weren't going to do or what you're not, people change. So now that's not something, if you told me from the get-go you don't do this and then I get mad at you later for not doing it, that's on me because you warned me. You would have warned me. But that won't mean I still won't, or the person still won't bring it up. Why are you asking to try something new? Is it because I'm bored? Is it because I think you're bored with sex? For me, I have to ask myself, if my wife doesn't want to do what I'm proposing, what did you say? My thing is, I'm prepared for her to say no. Can I live with her saying no? If she says no, is it a deal breaker for me? Why, after all these years, am I bringing this to her? Because we learn, right? We learn and we grow. We may see things, we may hear things. You may think of things, your own imaginative or creativity. So it doesn't have to be something, or it can be something you just learn. You don't know what you don't know, right? Until something, until you see something or you see how it is, you may not know that you would have liked something, right? So how could you know? So those are some reasons why you can be bringing it, you can be bringing it to her now. It doesn't have to be for any other reason other than you just learn about it. She doesn't have to be boring, but I think we all can admit to where relationships can grow uh, stagnant. It can grow stagnant. It can grow kind of routine. So you just want to spice some up. And in your research, you're trying to spice some things up. You're learning some things. So you want to try. You're like, man, I would really like to try this. So those are some reasons. Not necessarily because she's bored or you're bored. Or it could be. Once the comfortability level is set, it shouldn't be a problem. So that's what I'm saying. What if, in your case, she doesn't want to try something? How did you handle that? And you meant due to your ex? Not sure what you're saying. Not sure what you're saying. All right. This got to be some first conversation stuff because we ain't getting together if you're boring. But I'll let them know off top. No anal. All right. So I didn't think they still made people like you. But First, you give us this outrageous story about some females, they can't feel anything at all, yet they stay with them and they have kids. You can't admit or deny who the father is. Now you're saying this. I'm gonna get ready to block you. Sean said, I am definitely not prepared to say no. Oh, you're definitely not prepared for her to say no. All right, so what if she says no? And that's the question. Y'all bringing up good points, but my question still, how do you handle the person you're with saying no to something you want to try? We have issues with the word no. We have to realize no is a valid response to anything. Hey, I want to use toys in the bed. And she says no, shouldn't turn a relationship upside down. It shouldn't, but it could, because you're allowed to grow. We're allowed to grow as a person, not just as a couple, but we're allowed to grow as a person. If you think it's getting stagnant, that getting to the root of why they brought it up, I think matters a great deal. Understanding why they brought it up. So it may not be a relationship breaker, but it could turn things kind of upside down if, let's say, they're getting bored and they're thinking about even just ending the relationship. So it depends how good the relationship is when they brought it up. Let's say everything is good, but in the bedroom things are just stagnant or routine. And it shouldn't turn things upside down. And no is a valid word, but using your example, what would your response be? Something you really want to try or do, and they say no. Sean said, I expect to get my way every time. All right, Sean, so what happens if the expectation is not met? Disregard the last mention, but I was saying you men do too. You will ask women to bring another woman into your bedroom, or when she asks you, can she bring a man in the bedroom? It's a problem. Not for all men. I have male friends who they don't care either way. You can bring, if the woman wants to bring in another man or another woman. For me, I don't want to bring another man, not from an insecurity on size, but if I ever look up and he's staring at me in my eyes, I'm going to have a problem with that. Like everything ends that second. I get dressed, I excuse myself, and I leave. I can't look up and he's staring at me in my eyes. I am definitely afraid of that. I don't know why, but I am. Two women, that's, hey, the more, the merrier. But if I look up and he's staring at me in my eyes, everything's over. Everything ends. Everything. But good point. What you're saying, it is a problem for some. I wasn't asking because I didn't know. I'm giving you what goes in on my mind when asking for something like that. But you're okay. My ego won't let me accept it. So you don't even hear no then, Sean. They can be screaming no. You're like, you don't even hear your ego. Got to get past that. That story is not outrageous, man. It's just, whatever. But can you imagine? Well, maybe, I don't know. But just, I don't know. He's on one side, I'm on the other, and I look up and he's just staring at me in my eyes. I don't know what that would do. I would turn into a pillar of salt or what happened, but I do know that everything ends right then and there. I have to believe that our relationship is bigger than a position, a toy, or another person in our bedroom. You can believe that all you would like. And I'm not saying it's going to be a different position, a toy, or another person in our bedroom. I'm just saying, and it could be, but I want to know how would you handle it? We know one person would not accept it. He wouldn't even hear no. He would just do it anyway. Getting to the root, that's why I ask myself all of these questions hypothetically. Okay, so why does she want to bring that up? I have to believe our relationship is bigger than, and it probably is. But what? It, but still, you're going to have that conflict within. How do you respond? Why can't females just accept that they will get cheated on, and sometimes it has nothing to do with them? Okay, okay. Why would anyone accept that, Sean? But I hear what you're saying, and I don't know if this is where you're going with. How would you respond to? How would you handle hearing the word no? They tell you they won't. They they don't want to do that. But I guess life would be so much easier, huh, Sean, if they just accept it. If they accepted it, and, hey, I'm going to do this, and you can say no. That doesn't matter. Someone said, I use toys alone and not in a relationship. When I'm committed, I want my man to fulfill my desires. Okay. Okay. All right. I think Camel would say some of her friends in this story that she gave us, some of her friends use toys because they don't feel anything at all in capital letters. You and me both. I don't want any accidental anything with another man during sex at all. Right. So nothing accidental, or I look up and he could be looking at it could be a bug on the wall and behind my head, whatever. If I think you're looking at me, you are looking at me. Absolutely. Yep. A friend of mine told me he was in that type of situation. It was him, another guy, and a woman, and he said he's waiting his turn and everything. And so the guy he was with, I guess it fell out, and he told my friend to grab it and put it back in for him. So see, stuff like that are going to get you uh, cause some type of problem, big time. Oh, I don't know the outrageous comment. Okay, my bad. It's coming. I'm reading them slow because I'm going through them. Okay. It wasn't to my story. It was to Trinicia talking about the friend in the relationship that cheats. Can men provide the reassurance and the security a woman needs to trust you to take her there? Take her where, T. Hey, take her where? I don't want to assume. I think I know what you're saying, but take it where? Yes, men can provide that. Will they refuse to question? People can do anything they want. Will they is unfortunately it's that way. I agree. Even if a woman wanted to, she needs to feel secure in a relationship. She needs to feel secure to do what? To go through with whatever the man wanted to do. That's cheating statement is going to fall on deaf ears. I think the issue is, why add the drama of cheating when you can be alone and do what you want? Why drag me into the drama that comes? That is a great question. And yes, the majority of people are going to say that. Hey, you can do whatever you want. Just be alone. And then you can do whatever. That's the gayest story I've ever heard. It was he even, and I forgot how it came up. We were walking somewhere, and I didn't know it at the time. It wasn't until after we bumped into the guy. We were walking to lunch or something like that, coming this way. He said, "Yeah, man, I had a threesome with that guy," and he told me the whole story. It was extremely funny. But he was like, "Hell no, I'm not gonna. What's wrong with you, dude? Why would you?" I'm all for pleasing my man in the bedroom, but don't ask me to do the things that you wouldn't do. Okay, but see, good point. But there are some things that would be more for a woman to receive than a man to receive. It could be that he wasn't even in. I experienced that before. He was humping the bed, but she said he was hard in gym shorts, and she estimated it. Okay, so he needed another captain for that boat, clearly. You experienced that before? You coming up with all types of stories. He was humping the bed. No, don't try to change your story now. you said she couldn't feel him at all, and now you're trying to say, nope, I'm not. I don't believe the story at all. Whatever, but nope, don't do it. I do wonders with 2 inches. All right, Sean is. I don't know why you made that comment. No homo, Sean. Miss Dyson said we wouldn't even be married. Right, right. Don't do that. All right, so I'm gonna switch it up. We're gonna go down a different path. Right now, we're gonna go down a different path. This is more to get you to think in a non-sexual way. I'm gonna wait another minute or two to see if anybody has anything else to say to that last question, and to see if Campbell comes up with any other parts to this made-for-TV story. Okay, sure. All right, we go for that. And I just read, I'm all for when you said I'm off for pleasing my man. I read it correctly. I just assumed what you meant. All right, so the next question is more. It's more getting you to think. Now we kind of switch from a sexual or gender type situation to more psychological. But I'm gonna wait. And if it's something in the bedroom that I'm not doing and you really need or want it done and you're not bringing it to my attention, I shouldn't be at fault for it. Now, I agree. Communication, I think, is critical, especially when it comes to sex and things in the bedroom. How can you be at fault if you aren't aware? How could you be at fault? It could have been something that you made light to early on, that I'm not going to do it. And then 3 months later, nothing's changed. I tried a couple times and you're still saying, no, I'm not going to do it. So you knew, I didn't necessarily tell you, but I tried it. Or let's say I brought a toy, you're like, what are you doing with that thing? Get that thing out of here. So that's me trying it. So you're aware there. So you could have not necessarily directly been told, but you could have been made aware. All right, so I'm gonna switch up. We're gonna go psychological a little bit, and I just have a few questions. Wow, this has already gone extremely long time. But so out of your five senses, right? Sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, for those of you who couldn't recall, which one would you pick to live without and why? We still have some other statements coming in. Some men separate their desires amongst women. He doesn't want his wife doing certain things, even if she would oblige him. I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, I forgot about that. I used to be that person where I didn't want the person that I was with long term to do certain things because I didn't want to think of her in that manner. And I know other men who are like that, who have told me that, where like, no, my spouse, my girlfriend, my fiance, no, I can't think of her like that. Like I want to have threesome, not with my spouse, my girlfriend, my fiance. I'll have it with two of my homegirls, but I won't have it with her. So yes, that is, I don't know why it's that way. I know why I would feel that way, but that's an excellent point. Some men do separate their desires amongst women. And it could be that you told me, somebody said at the very get-go, two people I think said at the very get-go, I'm telling you certain things that I'm not down for. One person said anal, the story maker said anal. And somebody else said something, and I can't recall, but they said at the get-go, they communicate certain things to them, right? So now I know I can't do certain things with you. And using Sean's statement of, if you would just accept that I'm going to mess around, things will be okay. But to T's point, some men because I used to be that way. That's why I can validate that and say that used to be my testimony where certain things I wanted to do, I know I couldn't do, but I know who I could call up. Like, all right, no problem. It's fine. Don't even sweat that. And it got to the point of, hey, I'm calling up one of my homegirls. I know she has a homegirl who's down. Or I know my homegirl is down. She's down for whatever. It ain't nothing but a word for her. I don't want my main person doing certain things. So I got to look at this person like, oh, you are disgusting. You're trifling. How could you ever do that? But if I do that with somebody else, I don't have to look at the person in the morning, or if she's not living with me, I don't have to see her every day, et cetera, et cetera. Because the amount of people I know having threesomes within my age group is, yes, right. I think that's the older generation. You think the older generation? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But that's a good point, T, that you bring up. Some men do separate. We do separate our desires. But I've been with women who put me to shame. I've been with women like that. So I'd have to gracefully bow out of that relationship. Like, oh no, you're doing way the most. you're doing you're doing the most. And yeah, so I had to gracefully leave that conversation. One girl wanted her friend to film us, like her friend, not to participate, but to film us. Probably is becoming a big thing now with the millennials too. Yep, it is. It is. All right, so my next question, more psychological, and it's going to turn back. And if we revisit any of these questions later, then great. But out of your 5 senses, which one would you pick to live without, and why? And again, sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch for those of you who can only remember a few. Let me type it in. No poly for me. She said, millennials, ma'am, is that the category you're in? Because if you are in that, you need to get on board. If you're not, then stay away. It's what should be preached. Okay. You're saying to preach being poly. Okay. So this is my next question. You missed a lot of we had some interesting conversations, Rashida. You missed a lot of those. We do have some nasty people in here. We do have some storytellers in here. Campbell is a great example of a great storyteller. Go to the Progressive Love Academy for balance info on poly. Sounds like you have already went there. Yes, you have to be able to handle the poly life. Yes. Okay. Who in here could not handle that? But that's my next question. You have to next question. Out of the 5 senses, which one would you pick to live with, and why? Which one would you pick to live without, and why? If only you knew, hey, Rashida. All right, you're still on the previous question of poly. I'm not sure I could. Why are we still on that? Maybe it's coming in slow. I have not, but I respect the things they say. So I do. Yeah, that's funny. But maybe touch. Somebody say out of the 5, they would live without touch. Why? I can go without sound. Why? The world is too beautiful to not be able to see. All right, so you're telling me why you would choose sight, but you're not telling me why you would choose, why you would leave sound out. I got a touch. I want and need all my senses. All right, ma'am. So you clearly, let me repeat the question or just play along. Which of the five senses would you pick to live without and why? As some can still feel vibrations without being able to hear, okay. So you would go without sound. Someone said touch. Why? I can still access my environment with everything but touch, okay. What are some others before I ask my next question? I can still feel vibrations. I got touch and sight. I would want to be able to taste food and love hugs. Kind of that sense I would need touch. Okay. Would anybody go? Would anybody go without smell or taste? Some can still feel vibrations without. I think I would go without probably sound. I think I would go without sound. Yes, definitely sound. So nobody would go without taste or smell. Had a bad experience with one of those before with smell. The audacity. Sound, okay. So nobody would go without taste or smell. You can taste and smell taste and smell danger. You're right about that. You can't always feel it. That's right. All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next question. What is your biggest pet peeve and why? You don't want to hear nothing. Okay, you don't want to hear nothing. What is your biggest pet peeve and why? Then I got one more question. Most people aren't saying anything worth hearing anyway, so nothing lost. All right, so sound. You can kind of get out of all the useless stuff. All right, so my last question. My last question is, would you open up an envelope with the date of your death inside? Why or why not? Would you open up an envelope with the date of your death inside? Why or why not? Nope. Okay. Yes, so you can plan. Somebody said nope. Yes, so I can plan. Got it. Why no, Sheena? Why no? Because I would get depressed to close. Okay. Why you have to? Okay. All right. Because I would get depressed the closer the day came. What if it's 70 years from now? I would focus more on my death than living my life. No, only if it was past 90 years old. Other than that, I would live in anxiety. Okay, so let's say it said 80, you're going to be 82 when you die. That is going to have you living in anxiety. We got one person saying yes and everybody else saying no. Would you open up an envelope with the date of your death inside? You don't really live until you face death. I don't know if I agree with that. You don't really live until you face death. I believe we do have afterlife and we need to prepare for it. Got that part. But you don't really live until you face death. I don't know if I don't agree with that. Maybe if it let me know how and it was peacefully in my sleep. Nope. So all it has is your date. It doesn't even have your time. It just says you're going to die on this day. And that's all the information you're given. And the envelope is there for you to open. You have to stop fearing death in order to live. I think it's more to that. I think it's more to that. Maybe on some type of. No, I think it's more to that. It's not because fearing death is how it can control us, right? It can guide us. It keeps us away from or stopping. Like I'm not going to bungee jump because I don't want to die. But that doesn't mean I'm not living in other ways. So what I do is not because I fear death. Not everything I do. Because I love scuba diving. I would do that. I would probably do 4, 5, 6 dives a day if I could every day. But I'm not going to bungee jump. People can plan a C-section for birth. Maybe you can plan death. Why plan one and not the other? Well, I do think people do as they get closer, and especially if they some things that are terminal and everything, you start to plan that way. But if you were to open up an envelope and say, "Hey, you're dying 36 years from now," are you going to start planning it right then and there, or are you going to wait until you get closer? Balance the equation. That's one way of looking at it. Quite an equation that you created. C-section and death are two completely different things. They are. She's talking about birth and death, that equation, but they are. I kind of see your point, T, but not. I have a difference of opinion with that. I would get more serious about my life and what my purpose is. All right, so good point. But shouldn't you know what your purpose is already? Or if not, shouldn't you be finding out what your purpose is? You dying or knowing your date of death. Why is that the variable that's going to push you so you'll be more take your life more seriously? What my purpose is. If it takes death for you to get more serious about life and your purpose, maybe you're one that you're just never going to have purpose in your life. But good, I see your point. All right, so that was my last question. We've talked about a variety of things. Anything else you all want to talk about? If you know your death date, priorities can change. Why would knowing the date of death change your priorities? Why would knowing the date of death change your priorities? How do you should be doing that anyway. I would question an individual if they had to know their death date to get serious about their lives. I'm with you. If you're saying you would open up the envelope that has your date of death on it, and then doing that, you would do so at least in part, so it would motivate you to get serious about your life and the purpose in it. Why aren't you doing that already? There is a movie called Countdown about an app that tells you when you would die. Each day would allow me to live it to the fullest. I would exhaust my acts of service. Why can't you do more now without knowing when you're going to die? I think I would want to know. It would deter me from doing certain things. Like, for instance, if I wanted to have a child, okay, if I somehow knew I would throw a funeral party like Coming to America. I thought that was a pretty good movie. That was different. You may not have time to do everything, so you focus on something else more, or you have more time so you can do more. All right, so nobody knows the time nor the hour, right? If we're going biblical a little bit, no one knows the time nor the hour. You don't know if tomorrow you're gonna wake up. It's one of the reasons why I've worked so hard and so long and so passionate about anything that I start. I just have to finish, and I have to go at it my best. I didn't really care to go get 6 college degrees. I cared about subjects. I cared about different areas of focus and different subjects, for lack of a better word, different subjects. And once I got interested and I started walking down a path, I had to finish it because I don't know when my time is over. Why does it take knowing when you're going to die to influence you to the degree of, okay, let me get serious? Or let me do this, let me do that. You may not have time to do everything, so you focus on something else more. If the date of death is going to change your focus, shouldn't your focus already be changed? I just would kick it into overdrive. Okay. You would kick it into overdrive. Don't stress yourself out. Or based on your death, it may change how you do succession for your business. Why can't you change that now? If you know when you're going to die is going to change you, why is nothing else going to make you change? Your children may not be old enough to take over, but we don't know when we're going to die. So we're living with this whole, I got plenty of time. And we just don't know. So we're taking for granted that we're going to live, or we're making the assumption that we're going to live for decades and decades and decades, and we'll just have time. Nothing wrong with living that way if you're that way, of course. This is based on your question about the envelope. Right. So, and it's just, this is more, again, of a psychological question. And I'm psychoanalyzing y'all, all of y'all. And so I'm getting at something else. It's showing me how you think. It's showing me what influences your decision making, how you process information, your cognition. If knowing when you're going to die is changing, or would change how you do something, why is that thing that's now a priority? Why is it not a priority already? I think I always prepare for the future. Usually the only things I'm sure of the date on is vacations or birthday parties. Okay. You're not even sure if you're going to make it to the next one, but you plan. Right. So I had a conversation with someone recently, and they were talking about planning for their life and things that they do, and they're walking a certain path in life, and they don't want to count on other people to be a part of that plan. So they're planning as if they're going to have to do all of it and do everything, the entire project by themselves. My statement back was, well, you're making plans for next Saturday or next weekend. You don't know if you're gonna reach that weekend, but you're making plans for it. Why can't you make plans for completing this project with multiple people, with another person in it? We are all doing the best we know how to do at the moment. That's true, right? So no one's doubting a person doing the best that they can at the moment. And no, I do not think that everybody's doing the best they know how to at the moment. I do think that people are aware that they're not doing their best and they still choosing not to. So that can't be a statement that applies to all. No, that will never be true. However, and I'm not even talking about that. I am talking about knowing when you're going to die, changing how serious you become about life and how motivated you are to fulfill your purpose. We have all these things we want to do in life, and some are more important than others and affect your legacy. I might let go of some auxiliary projects for a legacy project with a more impact. But if you don't know the day or the hour, why are you not letting go of that now? Why are you not focusing on the legacy things that have more impact? Good point, though. Good point. And I'm just playing advocate here. I'm not saying what side I'm on, but it's telling me some things about all of you who have provided an answer. So I'm just speaking to some of those things. We usually are working on the most impactful project. Yeah. Usually I'm going off of some of yours. You might let go of some of the other stuff. And my question is, why not let go of some of it now so you can focus more on, because you can only expend yourself and spread yourself, but so thin. Focus on those impactful projects, the legacy type projects more. Get those out of the way, and then focus on the auxiliary stuff. But this has gone on long enough, so I am going to end that there, unless you all want to talk about anything else. We talked about a variety of, well, if I go back and look, a variety of topics. Talked about men and women, how women are too picky, how men are unrealistic, and what they want in a woman, and is it the size or how he captains the boat? One person make up this incredibly detailed story about some people they know and how they can't feel anything, or some crap she brought up. We talked about how if your partner was not willing to do something in a relationship, how would you respond to that? And then we talked about independence. Is there such a thing as a woman being too independent? And if so, why? So we talked about that. We talked about people asking their mate trap questions. Why is it that people in relationships ask trap questions? I think I gave the story of, I was with someone for a couple of months, and the girl asked me, made a comment that her sister was smoking hot, and what did I think of her? Felt that was a trap question and everything. So we spoke about that, and we also spoke about opening up your date of death. But one thing I did not ask, I don't think, is your pet peeve and why. So I want to take a few minutes to answer that. What's your biggest pet peeve and why? I'll tell you our mine here in a minute. But what's your biggest pet peeve and why? What is your biggest pet peeve? And you only get one. So none of that, I have many. You only get one. What's your biggest pet peeve and why? Mine is, my biggest is probably when a person says, you know what I meant. Yeah, so What's your biggest pet peeve and why? What's your biggest pet peeve and why? Mine is when a person says, you know what I meant? Liars. I'm invested in my relationship, so I want honesty no matter what. So your biggest pet peeve is a liar in a relationship. And why? Are you laughing at me, teacher? The whole, when people say, you know what I meant? My pet peeve is one that I am working so hard to overcome, and that's talking over people. It's rude, and you need to let people finish their statements. I struggle with this so much. I don't know if I can tell my business or not, but I will. So I know what you mean, Rashida. I recently went through that with you. Not that you were being rude, but you love to talk. I don't mind. I love listening, but I was just listening and 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 listening. And you just kept talking and talking and talking. It was cute. It was cute. It's like she has a lot to say. She has a lot to say. And then when I thought you were finished, you weren't. You weren't. But but I'm actually more of a pet peeve that not necessarily that you do, but somebody else does. So you said arguing. Can't we just disagree and leave it alone? That is a beautiful point, Campbell. That's probably second. That's probably second. It really should be first because I hate arguing. I've broken up with women before. If we argue too much, I mean, I'll just leave the relationship. I've ghosted longtime friends. I'm talking about of a decade or more because we just argue too much. And why can't we agree to just disagree? And then talking about the same, but this arguing about the same thing. Hey, I know 2 + 2 is 4. You know 2 + 2 is 4. Why are we still arguing over this? See, Rashida Ogmore, at least you know and you are working it. Yes, I know it's an issue. Yes, it is an issue. You love to talk. Admittance is the first step, they say, right? Some people say, I don't know who they is, but I've heard that admittance is, you have to admit it's the first step. And you kept talking. And I heard about 90% of what you said, but the other 10% I was formulating in my mind. I was doing some type of psychological equation of, okay, at this point it means this, at this point it means this, at this point it means this. And so I was doing some analyzing, some therapeutic type stuff in that 50 something minute conversation, 52 minutes and 36 seconds to be exact, I think. But you love to talk, and nothing wrong with that. And I just tabled what I was going to say. It didn't even matter because it's okay. Clearly, it wasn't as important as yours. I agree with you 100%, Hunter. Trust is huge for me, right? Saying words incorrectly. That's on my list. I don't know how high up, probably 5, 6 people using the right words because language has words and words have meaning. So why not use the right word that conveys the meaning that you're trying to use? I get that. I'm better. I think I'm improving how I respond with people using the right word there, T, because we all come from different backgrounds. We all are from different academic journeys and everything, whereas they may be saying words and think it means something, but it doesn't. I'm still not delivered from people saying or using like Y-O-U-R versus U-R, Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, and there and mixing those up and saying you're welcome, Y-O-U-R, welcome. Those things really irk me. And I tend to not say anything else after I read certain things. I can't get past it. I'm an introvert and I spend a lot of time in my room alone. So when I finally talk to people, I talk. Yes, ma'am, you do. talk. You do. You do. You need to buy you a puppy or a bear or something. I'm an introvert. I do more listening than talking because I'm an introvert. You are the opposite. You do more talking. It's like people got to be ready. They would have already had to eaten and did stuff around the house, whatever they need to do before they talk to you. And when men think they automatically know how the conversation is going to go, that's me. I have a problem with that. I know a few people that have problems with that, men and women. That's called assuming. And it's not just men, that's people. Let's call it assuming. But we use context clues, right? So I use my experiences for me. I use my experiences in history to kind of hone in how things are going to go. So for instance, if I go to swing at you or just do a move and you back up, I know every time I do that, I know your reaction. I know your reaction. It's the same thing with words. Words is just something you use. Words is just a verbal fight. So if I'm having a discussion and we've talked about this, especially if we talked about this so many times, I can with reasonable certainty. I don't know if you know anything about statistics and how significance and values and stuff is something statistically significant. And we would bet on it and we would say, okay, yes, this is a significant value. It's like it's 95% or whatever the case is, or 0.95. We would live with those results. So for me, and I'm only speaking for me, with me, I'm looking at things from a quantitative, almost like recipe or quantitative equation, in that I can, with reasonable assurance, believe that I know what's going to happen based on my history with person A, person B, person C individually, but then all people collectively. So I don't think that's a men thing. I think that's a mindset thing, and it goes to men and women. I hate when people say realtor instead of real realtor, right? Yes, they that's a very common one though, right? Where they say realtor, they put an A after the word real, and they can't say realtor. No, I get it. I besides you, and maybe one other person I've come across, I don't know anybody else that says it the correct way or what appears to be the correct way. Here's a word I know someone says and it bugs me. It's irregardless. It's not a word. You're right. Okay. You're right. Why does that bug you? My new goal for myself. My new goal for myself. Oh, okay. My new goal. I think that's what T, saying words incorrectly. Rashida, I think you used that. My new goal for myself. You're already you're defining the subject as you, yours, my. Why did you say my new goal for myself? My new goal is to talk. I think T is probably getting to saying words incorrectly. You didn't need to say all that. But my new goal is to talk 50% less. And I'm not picking on you, Rashida. That's the academic in me. My apologies. My new goal is to talk 50% less. Good luck with your goal. You are going to need that. Get you a bear or a puppy or something. Talk to the bear or the puppy. Work on that. Or is it even a problem that you talk so much? Ironically, I love irregardless. Why do you love irregardless, T? Ironically. So, okay, you hate when people, or it's a pet peeve of yours when people say words incorrectly, but you love using the word irregardless that Rashida said is not a word. That is a little ironic. I talk to myself. I used to do that, Rashida. I used to talk to myself. I would argue at myself. I would argue at myself and with myself. And when I started losing the arguments, I just stopped altogether talking to myself. or not letting me tell you how I feel because I told you how I felt before. Sometimes you need an expert. Oh, sometimes, two different comments. Or not letting me tell you how I feel because I told you how I felt before. I think we're talking about your biggest pet peeve. I think you've named 2 or 3 pet peeves, but I think it goes to your previous statement of anticipation. And you just said it yourself. If you told the person how you feel, how you felt before, why would you need to tell them again? Sometimes you need an expert. So you talk to yourself. Oh, sometimes you need an expert, and your expert is the self. Okay. The mask has helped me respond to myself in public without people noticing. That's funny. Sounds like you got a problem, a good problem, but a problem and a solution. Can you wear your mask? Yeah, you may want to go see someone for that. At least you're working on it. All right, so that was the last question. My apologies for forgetting that question. But mine is when people say, "You know what I meant," and I think it's so problematic for me because they're telling me what I know. How are you going to tell me that I knew what you meant? I I knew what you said, but how do I know what you meant? You knew what you meant. Christ knew what you meant. Whatever God you pray to, or whoever you told knew what you meant, but I know what you said. I didn't know what you meant. So when a person says, "Oh, you know what I meant," no, I know what you said. I incorrectly, it turns out, believe that what you said you meant. That's on me because I shouldn't have taken your word to be true. I should have dissected it and said, okay, she's clearly or he's clearly lying about this unintentionally, but they really mean that. No, I know what you said. I didn't know what you meant. You knew what you meant. So I think that's why it's a pet peeve, my biggest pet peeve. I am self-aware, so who else should I talk to? Anybody, Rashida, because when you start talking to people, you are talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and like I forgot the question. Like what in the world did I ask? That was 20 minutes long. Like I asked, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Not only do I know your favorite flavor of ice cream, I know your favorite color, I know the movie you just watched, I know your favorite celebrity, I know the time that you almost got in an accident, I know. So forget me asking any other questions because they're still doing something I told them I had a problem with. What are you talking about? Oh, okay, so you're going back to not letting me tell you how I feel, not letting them not letting you tell them how you feel because you told them before. Yeah, so even if they're still doing it, he or she is still doing it, they still already know how you feel about that same thing. Why do you have to keep telling them? So you think just because they're still doing it, you have to tell them how they keep. You have to remind them how uh, you feel about it. Or that may or may not work. I have a therapist I talk to weekly. Trust me, teacher talk is a big struggle for me too. Shocking. That is extremely shocking. That is extremely. So do I. Okay. So we have some talkers on here. So we have some talkers on here. We have some storytellers. Camo is one of those storytellers are on here. And for y'all who came late, y'all miss quite quite a story. She really had me going there for a minute. She really did. But all right. So anything else y'all want to talk about? Not you, Rashida, but anybody else that y'all want to talk about? Any topics y'all want to revisit that we talked about? These things are getting longer and longer. I don't mind, but it's all right. Anything else y'all want to talk about? Therapists I talk to weekly. Rashida, I know that's hard, not saying anything. You got so many people around who are ready to listen. You can feel free to say whatever you want to say. It's just I may be gone when you're still talking. So you can keep talking. It's just nobody may be present. If you keep talking and you don't see anything happening, no hard feelings. But my biggest one is trust. I think I know one or two other people say biggest pet peeve is trust. How's pet peeve of trust? How's trust a pet peeve? I mean, not sure. I wrote for 3 hours next week. You wrote what for 3 hours next week? Oh, to try to get to 3 hours? When I first started out doing this, I didn't expect it to go any more than an hour, hour and a half. And then even my non-interactive ones, which I need to get back to, where it's just more of a lecture on more psychological talk. Those are only about a half an hour, but I'm gonna shave those down to about 15 minutes because I'm gathering the attention span isn't it's what I'm used to or what I grew up in or known to be true. So I'm cutting those down, but I never expected anything to get this long. But that's okay. I, like Rashida, will talk and talk. Not like her, not as much, but I'll talk. I would talk less if I mastered that. Nope, good luck on that struggle. Clear and concise speech is my struggle. I get it. That can be a lifelong struggle. It can be. And it's nothing shameful in that. It's just something we all continue to grow. We all continue to work and try to improve. I think just in general, I say all, but I think people in general, or at least some, work on things, work on issues that they may be having. And regardless of how minor or mundane it may seem, it's still an issue. Clear and concise speech. All right, so anything else y'all want to discuss or talk about? Anything y'all want to revisit? I'll wait because some of these messages can come in slow. So I'm going to wait about 60 seconds or so. Let me put my timer on. Lying, I would talk less. Oh, you said lying is the pet peeve. Okay. So I'm gonna wait 60 seconds. If nothing new come on, I'm gonna end it. Clear and concise. We'll keep working on that, Rashida. On the getting your excessive talking under control. I wouldn't call it not even excessive. Your inability to control the excessive talking under control. I would talk less if I mastered that. Do you even want to master it? This is the question. Clear and concise. All right. So time is up. Again, make sure you hit that notification bell and the subscription button if you haven't already. I do thank all who have participated. I think I asked about 14, 15 questions. We got a wide variety of topics in everything. And I got to see this entire time, I'm just analyzing everyone who spoke. And I do that in general, but I learn some things about it, each of you in this. And I appreciate you all time and time again are participating and giving me your points of view and your thoughts on different topics that we speak to or that we discuss. And like Rashida said, I learned this in grad school because I do this way too much. Teacher talk, I lost my kids. We learn from each other. We learn from each other. We learn my experiences may be different from yours, and yours from the next person. And life in general is about working on things, understanding yourself, your desires, what it is that make you. What's your description? What's your abstract, so to speak? What is the dash of your tombstone going to say? It's all about figuring out who you are and understanding what it is you like, what turns you off, what turns you on, what things you won't put up with, how you see the world, how you see things in culture and in life. Again, I learned a lot from each of you who spoke with substance today. So I appreciate that, and your candor, your honesty, and thanks for riding with me. So my next session will be in the next few days, either Wednesday or Thursday. That's what I'm shooting for. I'm not going to tell you the topic yet, but you will know when it comes out. So hit that subscription button and notification bell. But I will talk to y'all next time. All right, this is Dr. O signing off.